What is your name, please?
My name is Margaret Valconers, and I'm teaching hostesses for Sabina Belgium World Airlines.
My name is Margaret Valconers. I teach hostesses for Air India International.
My name is Margaret Valconers, and I teach hostesses for KLM Royal Dutch Airlines.
Only one of these young ladies is the real Margaret Valconers. The other two are imposters and will try to fool this panel. Tom Poston, Peggy Cass, Merv Griffin, and Kitty Carlisle. On To Tell the Truth with your host, Bud Collier.
Thank you very much. Welcome once again to Tell the Truth, brought to you this week by new self-polishing Aerowax with new Jet Age plastic for the tough, long-lasting shine that never yellows floors. New Aerowax. Hi there, Merv Griffin. How are you?
Fine, Bud. Nice to see you.
Welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Good to
Hey,
see
you're going to be a regular part of this network this summer, aren't you?
July 2nd, we start Talent Scouts, replacing Red Skelton on Tuesday nights at 8:30.
Well, anybody that comes on trying to show talent on that show that you're on has got 6 strikes against him right away. Nice to have you in the network.
Thank you, Bud.
All right, let's get going here, shall we, and see what we have. Open up your envelope, take out your affidavit cards for the first time, and follow along as I read from my copy. I, Margaret Valconers, work for a large international airline. I have 2 jobs. One of them deals directly with passengers on the ground. The other has to do with the hostesses who serve them in the air. On the ground, I am manager of a special club that caters exclusively to our female passengers. The club services range from showers and dressing rooms to free babysitters. I am also an instructor in the airline stewardess school. As such, I teach my students how best to take care of our passengers aloft. In addition, of course, I lay down basic rules on how to soothe agitated adults, how to control active children, and how to handle a wolf. Signed, Margaret Valconers. All right, panel, these ladies all claim to be Margaret Valconers, airline stewardess instructor. We start this questioning with Tom Poston. Tom?
Oh, thank you, Bud. Number 3, I don't want to embarrass you, but has there been any curtailment of service in the KLM lines recently?
No.
Are you cutting down on any of your flights?
No, not that I know of.
Thank you. Number 1, has there been any curtailment of service on the Sabina lines?
No.
Are you cutting down any of your flights?
No.
No. Thank you. Number 2, do you happen to know anything about the dispute with England and America in the airlines business?
Well, about the raise of the fare, you mean?
Yes. What is England's position in that matter? Do you know?
Well, I don't think I know too much about that.
Thank you. Number 2, I want to know how you handle a wolf.
Peggy.
Oh.
Peggy
Don't tell
Cass.
him so he won't know. Number 2, do you fly to Moscow? Does Air India fly to Moscow?
Yes, we do.
Thank you. Number 2, what is the sort of emblem, the advertising sign for Air India?
Oh, you must have seen him, the little man, Maharaja. See, Maharaja is the one.
Yes. Number 3, what does KLM mean?
Koninklijke Luchtvaartmaatschappij.
Thank you.
Repeat that, Peggy, will you?
Well, I mean, everybody knows that. Number 3, the way we eat hot dogs on the street in New York, what do they eat on the streets of Amsterdam?
Holmops.
Thank you. Number 1.
They do? Merv.
Number 1, Sabina Airlines. Are you with Sabina Airlines?
Yes.
Yes. Who caters your food in France?
I think it's Air France.
Number 2, what are your instructions, your first instructions to the passengers as you leave the airport, as the airplane leaves the airport? What are the first instructions you give to your passengers?
Don't get up until we...
No, the first important instructions.
When they get
Any
off...
kind of a demonstration at all? Number 3, do you give a demonstration?
No smoking is the first instruction, and the demonstration is to the life vest.
Number 1, how many drinks are allowed to a passenger?
Oh, it all depends in which class they're flying.
Number 2, are there any restrictions? Oh.
I didn't know.
Kitty Carlisle.
Well, I'm interested in the wolves. Number 2, how do you handle a wolf?
Well, I would smile from a distance. I wouldn't go near him.
Number 3, how do you handle a wolf?
Just about the same way, and about the same as on the ground.
Number 1, how do you handle active children?
Oh,
Maybe
well,
we could all use this hint.
when we're in trouble, we'd just go to the captain and say, fasten seat belts.
And that's enough?
He fastens seat belts, the child must be quiet.
Number 2, do you have any special foods on your planes?
Well, we serve curry, you know.
No, I mean, do you have anything like, do you serve...
That's all the time we have, I'm sorry to say. So will you kindly mark your ballots immediately, without change, of course, and no consultation permitted, as you vote now for number 1, number 2, or number 3. Our team of challengers will receive $250 for every incorrect vote. All ballots marked? Very well. Tom, for whom did you vote?
I voted for number 3. I thought that there had been some cutback in the service of both Sabina and KLM, but maybe I was mistaken. And number 3 said she didn't know for sure. So I took a chance and voted for number 3.
Very well. Peggy.
Well, I voted for number 3 because we eat hot dogs, but over there they eat raw herring that they serve on the street. And she knew that. Roll mops was what she said.
Thanks a lot. Merv.
I voted for number 3 because she knew immediately what the first instructions to the passengers were, and that's a law that they have to teach them about life belts. It's a long speech they have to get, and I don't think she'd ever forget it.
Kitty.
I voted for number 3 because she looks efficient enough to handle this very complicated and important job.
So it's unanimous for number 3. Well, all right. Sometimes the panel does well with this kind of unanimity. Sometimes they hang themselves. So we'll find out right now in our own particular moment of truth as we learn which of these ladies actually is the airline stewardess instructor. So will the real Margaret Valconers please stand up?
I can't stand it. Get up.
Good job, you did. Oh, boy. Well, that'll learn you to be so cocky about it, won't it, huh? You did a beautiful job of fooling, believe me, all the way down the line. Number 2, what is your real name and what do you really do?
My name is Surya Kumari. I'm a singer, dancer.
Along with number 3, a consummate actress, too, I would say. Number 3, you got all the votes. What is your real name and what do you do?
I am Gisela Jordan. I was born in Berlin, and I am now living in Demarest, New Jersey.
Oh, my. Well, we checked the score, and very happily for you, because they were all incorrect votes, and at $250 each, you can add better than I can. That's $1,000 coming your way, ladies, from Aerowax, as well as a gift package of all the fine products from the makers of Aerowax. Thank you very much for fooling our panel so successfully and for having a good time, which I think you did. So did we. Good night, and God bless you. All right, panel, will you meet our next team of challengers?
What is your name, please?
My name is John Wilson.
My name is John Wilson.
My name is John Wilson.
Very well, panel, will you follow along with your copies of this next affidavit? I will read from mine. I, John Wilson, am an Egyptologist, an expert on the history and culture of ancient Egypt. Currently, I am involved in a dramatic rescue operation. I am the only American representative on an international committee working to save 25 priceless archaeological monuments from being submerged by a man-made lake. Some of these ancient Nubian treasures are actually carved out of the mountainsides in Egypt's fabled Valley of the Nile. One of our most staggering jobs is raising 2 whole temples 200 feet. They are estimated to weigh more than the Empire State Building in New York City. Signed, John Wilson. Dr. John Wilson, renowned Egyptologist. May we start this cross-examination with Kitty Carlisle? Kitty?
Thank you, Bud. Number 1, what was Cleopatra's legitimate husband's name?
She had several. One was called Tully. I believe she made Caesar an honest man for a week or so.
Thank you. Number 2, what was the name of her dynasty?
They were Ptolemies.
Number 3, where are these temples? Can you give me the name of the city?
The temples which are going to be saved, Abu Simbel.
Number 1, where are the temples at Karnak?
The temples are at Karnak.
Thank you. Number 2, what is a dabiya?
Dabiya is a houseboat.
Number 3, can you tell me who opened King Tut's tomb for the first time?
His name was Howard Carter.
Number 1, can you tell me...
Tom Poston.
Good heavens, sakes alive. Number 3, how many different kinds of hieroglyphics have been noted in the ancient Egypt findings?
1.
Number 2, do you agree with that?
Only hieroglyphics, there are hieratrics.
Number 2, who was the famous French explorer of ancient Egypt?
Well, Champollion is the one who translated the Rosetta Stone. There were too many French explorers of that period to name. Marier is one.
Thank you. Number 1, what are the circumstances of that famous robber's cache of ancient Egypt mummies and so forth? Where did they find those? Do you remember?
It was near Aswan, just slightly north of it.
Thank you.
Peggy.
Thank you. Number 3, what is the name of the dam that is going to be built at Abu Simbel?
It's not at Abu Simbel.
Well, I know, but what is the name of the dam that's going to make that lake?
Aswan Dam called the High Dam.
Thank you. Number 1, who was Schliemann?
He discovered Troy.
Thank you. Number 3, did he ever work in Egypt?
No.
Number 2, where was Alexander the Great born?
He was born in... Number 2?
Number 2, yes.
He was born in Macedonia.
Thank you. Number 3, what nationality was Darius?
He was a Persian.
Number 1, what are fellahin?
They're peasants.
Merv.
Wow. Number 3, what's Nasser's first name? Number 2?
Gamal Abdel Nasser.
Number 2, there was, as I recall reading about this, you are lifting the monuments.
That's right.
Weren't there other plans submitted by other nations as not involving lifting them out?
There are still 3 plans, and...
What are one of them?
One of them is encasing the entire temple in concrete and mechanically jacking them up.
What's another plan, number 1?
The Swedish plan to cut the monument into pieces and truck it up to the top.
Number 3, what's the third plan?
An original plan to leave them in place and put a dam around them.
That's no fair, you all know.
That's all the time we have. So, with the information you have obtained, mark your ballots. Right now, without change, and as before, no consultation permitted while
I think we got
voting.
too much information, Bob.
Voting for number 1, number 2, or number 3. All ballots marked?
No, I can't.
No, I can't decide either.
Eeny, meeny, miny. Mo, you've got it.
You're voting for Mo, okay? Very well. Tom, for which one did you vote?
Well, I wanted to vote for number 2, but
So?
I didn't, as you can see. I voted for number 1. And because I don't think number 2 looks right to me, just doesn't look right to me. But they were all so smart, and I thought number 2 gave some beautiful answers. Okay, what the heck?
Peggy.
Well, I voted for number 3. Yeah, because I thought he really knew an awful lot, and he looks as though he's been outdoors a lot, and they're outdoors. And anyway, he giggled a lot at some of the questions, which shows that he must know.
What about Nasser?
Well, not everybody knows. Why should he know Mass? They've all got... How do I know?
Merv,
If you were there, you'd know Nasser's first name. I voted for number 2. He seemed to have all the information right at his fingertips.
Well, let's split it up all the way. With which of your friends are you traveling, Chitty?
I voted for number 2 because I think Lord Carnarvon opened King Tutankhamun's tomb, and number 1 said that they were at Karnak, and number 2 knew about Adarbia, and I think it's number 2.
All right, there we have it. 1 for 1, 1 for 3, and 2 for 2 as we face the truth and find out who's right and who's wrong in this voting period, learning now which one of these gentlemen actually is the renowned Egyptologist. So will the real Dr. John Wilson please stand up?
No, it's 2.
Thank you, sir, very much. You may be seated. All right, you be seated so they can hear you if you answer, sir. What is your
We challenge their choreographer.
I want to say, wasn't it Lord Carnarvon who opened King
Lord Carnarvon financed it, and Howard Carter was the man who actually opened it.
Thank
Everybody
you very
knows.
much.
Certainly. All right.
Don't go back to Egypt until you learn Nasser's first name.
I didn't know whether to call him Jamal Abdel Nasser or Gamal Abdel Nasser, and I was hesitating on that. Bingo.
And you jumped, see? There you are. Number 1, what is your real name, sir? What do you really do?
My name is Phil Kalfas, and I compile training films for the United States Army.
And number 2, you got most of the votes. What is your real name, and what do you do, sir?
My name is John Donovan, and I'm a writer. My latest book is on communism in Latin America, and it's called Red Machete.
Well, you did a good job of fooling, just as in the first case, only 1 less, as a matter of fact. There were 3 incorrect votes, gentlemen, at $250 each. $750, plus the fun we all had. I hope you think that's well worthwhile. You also get that, of course, from Aerowax, as well as a gift package of all the fine products from the makers of Aerowax. And our sincere thanks for being with us, and hope you had the fun I think you had. Good night. God bless you. Now, panel, may I present our 3rd team of challengers.
What is your name, please?
My name is Mrs. J. Gordon Gose.
My name is Mrs. J. Gordon Gose. My name is Mrs. J. Gordon Gose.
Follow along, if you will, with your copies of this affidavit, panel. I, Mrs. J. Gordon Gose, have always loved flowers. I've been active in various garden clubs since I was 23 years old. I'm considered a specialist in Japanese flower arrangements. I also hold a life certificate as a flower judge. Last month, I received the highest honor a flower lover can hope for. I was elected president of the National Council of State Garden Clubs. Incidentally, my first name is Violet. Signed, Mrs. J. Gordon Gose. Ladies this time, panel, all claiming to be the same one, namely Violet Gose, flower judge. And we'd start this time with Merv Griffin. Merv?
Thank you, Bud. Number 3, name some prize-winning roses.
Tropicana is one of the new ones. Ena Harkness.
Thank you. Number 1, would you name some prize-winning roses, other than those 2 mentioned?
The Perkins.
Pardon?
The Perkins.
And who is that
Rose.
name for?
That is the Perkins rose that was
Ma.
developed by their...
Ma Perkins.
Yes. Oh, Ma Perkins.
Oh, you like that
Possibly.
one. Do you know another?
Yes. There's the yellow...
Rose of Texas. Number 2, would you name a couple for me?
Lady Winslow.
Thank you.
Number 3.
Kitty, I'm sorry.
Can you tell me where the New York City flower show is held annually?
No, I cannot.
Number 1, can you?
At the Coliseum.
Number 2, where do you consider the most beautiful gardens in the world?
I'm thinking in Charleston, South Carolina.
Thank you. Number 3, can you tell me how many varieties of violets there are?
No, I cannot.
Number 1, can you?
I would say about 110.
Thank you.
Tom.
My goodness. Just for curiosity's sake, number 3, why can't you tell Kitty where the annual flower show is held in New York City?
Because I come from another part of the country.
Where do you consider one of the nicest gardens in this country to be?
Well, I would agree with the girls at South Carolina. The magnolia or cypress or Milliken gardens are some of the most beautiful.
Thank you. Number 2, I'm very curious. You haven't much of a tan. How do you avoid that, being outside a lot in gardening and so forth?
Well, I really can't explain it. All I do is get freckles, and when I come in, they fade.
Thank you. Thank you.
Peggy.
Thank you. Number 2, in what city is the Chelsea Flower Show held?
In California.
Thank you. Number 3, Natchez has a big flower festival every year. What flower do they specialize in there?
The azalea.
Thank you. Number 1, what's the state flower of Massachusetts?
I'm not familiar with it because
Thank
I'm
you.
from a different part of the country.
Do you know number 3?
No, I don't.
Number 2, there are American lilacs, and then there's a very dark lilac. What is that called? A very dark purple lilac.
I don't know.
Number 3, do you know?
Persian.
I guess that's it.
Are we through?
Oh, mark your ballots. Yes, indeed you are. Do your pruning on your ballots and come out fine, if you will. Vote now without consultation for number 1, number 2, or number 3. Everybody marked? All right, Tom, for whom did you vote?
I voted for number 3. She was awfully polite to me when I asked her that leading question, so I thought it would be nice to be polite in return.
Peggy, what is your vote?
Well, I voted for number 3 because Natchez does have an azalea festival, but I always thought those lilacs were Chinese lilacs, but maybe they've changed it lately.
Wilmington.
Merv.
I voted for number 2 because I think number 3, if she were president of the National Council of State Garden Clubs, would know where they held it in New York, and I think number 1 could have been a little confused with 110 varieties of violets. That threw me a little. And number 2, I suspect, is the lady we're looking for, and I'll bet she knitted that dress, too.
She did.
Kitty.
I voted for number 3, even though she didn't know where the New York City Flower Show is held every year. And number 1, I don't believe there are that many varieties of violets. I just thought there were 2, purple and white. No.
Oh, no. A lot of flower lovers think otherwise. Well, let's see how well we think as we face the truth now and learning how right or how wrong our panelists are in their voting. Finding out now which of these ladies actually is the flower judge. So will the real Violet Gose please stand up?
Oh.
Well, I guess they had to be smart one time. Thank you very much, Mrs. Gose. I'm sorry they were that smart this time. I guess they had to redeem themselves, though. They've been going down the line tonight, and they had to come back a little bit. Number 1, what is your real name, and what do you really do?
My name is Marjorie Strasburger. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, and I'm the director of a cooperative nursery school for 3- and 4-year-old children.
Different kind of a nursery. And number 2, what is your real name, and did you knit that dress? I mean, what do you really do?
My professional name is Harriet. I own and operate a puppet show in New York City.
Well, ladies, I guess you better, since there's only one incorrect vote at $250 from Aerowax coming your way, you better talk to the other contestants on the earlier rounds. Maybe they'll take you out to dinner or something. They did better, but I don't think they did any better with the fun, and I hope you enjoyed yourselves. Maybe that made up for it. On the way out, also, a gift package of the fine products from the makers of Aerowax, and our sincere thanks to you. Good night, and God bless you. All the time we have for tonight, but as usual, we've all gained a little information and knowledge, I think, and I thank you for that and for the entertainment value of everything. You make my evening so great always. Thank you.
Fud, honestly.
Good night to you.
Thank you.
Truly,
Good night,
nonetheless.
Dad.
And good night to all of you. Don't forget to join us again next week at this time. And, of course, I'll see you tomorrow afternoon on the daytime show. In the meantime, from Aerowax, Bud Collier saying good night and reminding you to tell the truth. Good night.
To Tell the Truth is a Mark Goodson, Bill Todman production. Tell the Truth has been brought to you by the makers of Easy Off, the new push-button window spray that floats away dirt and keeps windows sunshine clean. This is Johnny Olson speaking for To Tell the Truth. This program was pre-recorded.